Life is Strange has impacted me more than any piece of media has ever done before. By that I mean, I literally cried when the game concluded, and afterwards I was speechless and just lay on my bed thinking about it for the next hour or two. And then for the next 3 days straight, Obstacles by Sid Matters was stuck in my head, and I liked it, weirdly enough. So, now that that's all over, and it's been about a month or so, I've started thinking about why does Life is Strange succeed at pulling every emotional cord in my body? So, I sort of did some analysis. After doing some thinking and jotting down notes, I've boiled the emotional factors down to three main things: presentation in the music and visual shots of emotional scenes, the choice factor and how it makes you feel guilty and responsible for everything that happens, and then most importantly, and is what I'm going to be focusing on mostly in this video, is the characters and how they're developed specifically. I'm going to do an in-depth run through the whole story and show how all of these factors make the game and the characters so well developed until right at the end where it emotionally smacks you. Smacks? Till right at the end where it emotionally smacks you. There we go. I thought I'd make it abundantly clear right now. There is spoilers in this video, okay? I'm running through the entirety of Life is Strange 1. I'm not going to touch upon Before the Storm, Life is Strange 2, or Captain Spirit. So if you've not played them but only the first one, brilliant, carry on. If you haven't played the first one and you're here, stop. Go play it or watch it yourself. Experience it firsthand and do not let anyone spoil it for you. It's just, don't. It's such a good thing to experience for the first time, and I'd give anything to experience it, first time again. So, the game starts off in this dream sequence, but I'm going to skip it a bit ahead because it's not really relevant to the characters, which is what I'm focusing on. So, we're going to skip ahead to the bathroom scene. Now, when you see this for the first time, you've just started the game, so you obviously don't know anything, basically. So, your first thought when you probably get in this room is, oh, okay, this is interesting. I wonder what's going to happen here. Anyway, Chloe gets shot, and you don't care that much because you don't know her. You've just seen her. So, yeah, whatever. Then you go back in time, you learn about your powers and stuff, yada yada, skipping ahead. The next part that you meet Chloe is where she finds you when you've been knocked on the floor by Nathan Prescott. And she sort of picks you up and brings you to a house. And here you sort of learn that Max and Chloe were best friends a long time ago. But there's some sort of weird tension because Max sort of grew distance from Chloe and she didn't contact her at all. So as you speak to her, you sort of feel a bit guilty. And there's a lot of, just tension between you. So it really starts giving you character on Chloe and starts to build up their relationship. But it's not perfect yet, as all relationships start out. Next scene is the lighthouse, where here Chloe opens up a bit less aggressively about how she feels, and this part specifically removes some of that tension between Max and Chloe, and they can finally, rekindle their relationship and bond. Right at the end of the scene, Max has another vision and it starts to snow, and this is the specific point where Chloe starts to trust Max. And during this scene, Obstacles by Sid Matters plays in the background. This music does so much to enhance the scene, tying into the presentation factor I mentioned earlier. It fits perfectly with the atmosphere and simultaneously builds hype, creates a memorable moment that starts giving you chills when you listen to the song. And as I wrote the script, the song came on and filled me with nostalgia. This line doesn't make sense as I'm reading it out. I've just realised. I think it's also important to note that the shots in this scene look really good due to it being golden hour, and it just really enhances the scene very subtly, but looks beautiful. Episode 2. I'd like to call this episode the episode that mostly revolves around friendships. You spend the first half of the episode with Chloe just bonding and, getting to know each other, and the other half of the episode trying to help Kate deal with her mental health problems. After reconnecting your friendship in the first episode, you and Chloe bond in a diner, and now this scene is important as this is the first time where you start to like Chloe. In the previous episode, she seems like quite a tense, stubborn character, but here, all of that tension and stubbornness is sort of gone for the most part. So you start to, be able to like her. She's no longer mad at you, but instead she's like an actual best friend getting excited about Max's cool superpower. So afterwards, you head off to a scrap yard where you and Chloe have some rebellious fun, shooting bottles, bonding, nearly shooting another man and saving her from a train, just normal teenager stuff. You do, however, have a pretty wholesome conversation with her, which makes for some great development in friendship, in my opinion. Also, this scene right here, this snippet of Chloe and Max on the train track, this is my new background for my computer just because, beautiful imagery. But yeah, after this, the episode ends with Max texting Chloe and officially teaming up to solve the mysteries surrounding Arcadia Bay and the, weird stuff that happened to Kate and the disappearance of Rachel Amber, Chloe's best friend. And I feel like this scene really works because you've just come out of a dramatic confrontation with Kate where he's tried to stop her committing suicide. And because you've got Kate and the whole friendship theme on your mind, something that's high priority is just helping her. So you want to solve these mysteries and do whatever it takes to, help her and even help Rachel Amber on the way because Chloe cares about her. This scene's also fantastic because of the way it's presented. You have this beautiful shot of a torn apart but sympathetic Chloe Price on the beach alone, smoking. It's also important to note that it's golden hour again, which is a very common theme in this game, so it makes the lighting beautiful. And I like the camera angle from behind her. I don't know why, and I can't explain it, but something about it looks beautiful. And you also have the opposite of this scene with Max hugging Warren while she's dealing with her traumatic experiences and watching the eclipse together. And both of these have the song Mount Washington playing in the background, which it fits well. Again, presentation in this game is fantastic. It makes such a memorable scene. You're starting to notice a pattern with the end of these episodes. They're always memorable. Alright, and episode 3. I'd like to label this the episode where you go from liking Chloe to loving Chloe. This is the one for me anyway. You start by raiding the principal's office, looking for documents to support your case that you're working on. And right afterwards you go have some rebellious fun inside a swimming pool to enjoy yourself. This is the point I mentioned. You don't even seem to care that you're breaking the rules because you're with Chloe. So the entire scene just gives you thrill and a sense of rebelliousness. I feel like this specifically is what strengthens your relationship because of the adrenaline. It goes somewhere, so it naturally goes to friendship. I don't know. I'm no psychologist. The thought that Chloe's there for you in that moment, it makes you feel like you can trust her a lot, which is obviously true because she's the only person you can trust in this scene. Yeah, I know that was a horrible mess and poorly worded, and it took me 5 takes to do that. But hey, I think the fact that you're together that night and you go and just have fun and you're breaking the rules, so you've got the thrill there, and then you escape together, so you've got that adrenaline rush, all of it sort of brews up for you to like Chloe so much more. And then because of this whole scene, it directly leads to you spending the night with her. And I don't know what it is about this scene. I've thought about it so much and I can't figure it out. But it's just something to do with that strengthens your love for her. Now, this next scene is when you wake up next to Chloe. This is beautifully presented. The way the camera moves, and then you see Max and Chloe. You also see the light shining through the American flag, giving it this red hue. And red seems to be the colour that symbolises love quite a lot. So I think that was very intentional. Also, it's beautiful that you can see like dust particles in the air just floating around, and then it's really peaceful music. It just beautiful. And I feel like Don't Nod did this on purpose. They made this beautiful scene to grow your attachment to Chloe because just after this, they've planned this. You're given the option to kiss Chloe, and it's weird because I was thinking at that exact moment that that's the moment where I started shipping Max and Chloe. So for that exact moment, Chloe to offer that, it feels very planned and it works. Also, I've never pressed X so fast in my life. That's such an easy decision to make. Then you go on some missions together, solving the case. And Chloe gets in a bit of a mood because she realizes that Rachel Amber might have hid a lot of secrets from her, which has, because of her experiences, makes her upset. So something I noticed at the end of this is that Chloe feeling down makes you feel down, which, if Chloe felt down right at the beginning of the game, I don't think you would have cared that much because you didn't like her. But here, the fact that you feel down with her really sort of shows how you've changed from episode 1 to now 3. And it must bother Max so much, she decides to go back in goddamn time to help make her just be happy in this one moment. So Max goes back in time to stop Chloe's dad, William, from getting in the car that day and getting into the car accident, causing Chloe's downward spiral into depression and emo-hood. So, yeah, you go back, solve that, stop it. William takes the bus instead. And then you go back. Now, this alternate timeline was instantly off-putting by the fact that it's revealed that Max is in the Vortex Club, and if you look through her phone text messages, she's a bit of a prick, to put it bluntly. But by far the biggest shock, at the end of the episode, you pull up to Chloe's house, knock on the door, and she wheelchairs up to the front door, which is such a twist. I was shocked. I couldn't believe it. I think I loudly exclaimed when it happened, and it's such a hard thing to believe that hiding car keys meant the difference between a depressed emo but fun Chloe and a critically injured, poor, paralysed Chloe. And this is just such a powerful twist. Which brings us nicely into episode 4. Now, disclaimer, episode 4 and 5 are going to be long ones, especially 5. So, strap in, I guess. Right off the bat, it hurts seeing Chloe like this. Seeing the person that you now clearly love dearly in such a horrible condition. It hurts emotionally. She's less snarky and is more a victim of suffering. Less emo and more caring? Less of, her. And little moments like her telling you not to say Hella because she hates it, it makes you feel genuinely sad for her, and you realise how much you miss Chloe, which is such a clever, intentional thing. You've spent the past 3 episodes subtly building up the relationship behind the scene, and now you're being simulated with what it's like to lose her and realise how much you loved Chloe previously. This whole part was all intentional just to do that. And the fact that you start feeling like a carer for her instead of a best friend feels off and weird and sad. And yeah, instead of defending her from her stepdad, playing with your power, breaking into a swimming pool, you're emotionally supporting Joyce and William, hiding your powers and fetching morphine from upstairs. And all of this, all of these episodes led up to this specific moment where I teared up at this video game and at any video game for the first time in my life. In the scene, you are given choice to allow Chloe her wish of being happy forever in heaven, or refuse as you can't bring yourself to murder your best friend. I, however, accepted. I thought it was unfair to keep Joyce and William suffering with debt and Chloe suffering with a condition and being the only one to keep this suffering going. I would have felt horrible to deny Chloe her wish, her right to die, so naturally I accepted. And what got me tearing up was the fact that I put myself in Max's shoes. Imagine if your best friend or loved one was suffering in the way Chloe was, with the only wish to finally be happy again, with the thought of you on their mind forever. Would you accept? Then imagine watching your action literally cause the passing of said loved one. It's a tough thought, and that's what caused the emotions. And here brings up the third factor, choice. The fact that you have to make this decision is what makes this work. It's no longer Max makes the decision, it's you that makes the decision. Chloe's asking you to put her down, not Max. So, naturally, as I turned the IV up to 11, it hurt, it felt emotional, and the game, don't nod, they succeeded in making me cry. Not cry, but tear up. So, you pick up the picture, you look through it, you travel back in time, and you sacrifice William. It's sad, I'm sorry, William, but Chloe is more important, to put it bluntly. Then you see as the pictures change back into the Chloe you like, and you feel happy. Yay! Old Chloe's back. Dead Chloe is gone. I'm sorry, Chloe. And you start to realise just how much you cared for her, clearly. Because when you come back, I think you're fully aware at this point just how much you actually do care for her. And you see Max's reaction, and you completely understand because of what she's just been through. So, long story short, this subplot is not all useless. This is such an important part of this game. Now, here, Max and Chloe go on a bit of a detective hunt. Nothing really significant happens here, other than the fact that you feel like buddy cops again, fighting the mysteries. Back to this. It feels fun, I guess. It's not relevant to the development, so I'm going to skip a little bit ahead to the reveal of Rachel's death. Now, on this mystery hunt that you've been on, Max's main motivation for doing this is just to help Kate and get justice for everything she went through. However, Chloe has a very different one. Chloe's ambition for the whole hunt is to search down her missing friend Rachel Amber, who went missing 6 months prior, and I feel like her reaction to finding out that Rachel's died is very realistic and great. She's in denial and bargaining, so she drives to the junkyard where she finds the body, and she just weeps. And let me just point out the presentation of this. First of all, this shot here, if I remember to put the thing in, it zooms out, and the only bit of light is on them. Everywhere else is shadows, and it's really bright out, so you can see them. And the camera's low down and looking at them, making you feel like quite hopeless, like the way that the camera's positioned. And the song Mountains by Message to the Bears plays perfectly in the background. And this is such a perfect choice for the scene, as it captures the desperation of Chloe followed by her depression in a way that doesn't feel like, the stereotypical emotional piano music. Ugh, I don't like that. I like it in some cases, but I don't think it would have worked here. This is all just another massive win for presentation, and just another factor, clearly. I've got nothing much left to say about episode 4. The twist at the end with Mr. Jefferson, I didn't feel anything for that, and I can't explain why it didn't. Like, loads of people I see had such dramatic reactions, but I didn't care that much. I was like, oh, okay, this is interesting, but yeah. And then for the rest of the episode, Chloe's gone for the entire party. So, episode 5. Starting the episode off with dead Chloe. Yep, what a great way to start. And it's interesting, I just want to quickly point out that she's dead, but you are 100% certain in your heart that you're going to save her no matter what. So, this is a fact that's quickly, glossed over, but I feel like this is interesting to look at compared to the rest of the episodes. Because before you think, if she's dead, oh, well, that's a shame, I guess. But at this point, she's died. Your only thought is, oh, I will just save her. Easy. Because, I don't know. I don't know why I bothered leaving this part in. I just find it interesting, I guess. Now, a lot of this episode can just be quickly glossed over, as this episode tends to mostly focus on Max using her time travel ability to save herself and then Chloe. So I'll quickly run over a few things. It's interesting that Max sacrifices her happy future to go back into the horrible future just to save Chloe's life again when she's at the Everyday Heroes contest thing. And the scene where you confess about the alternate timeline in episode 4 is great, and it's well presented, as always. It still shows Chloe in her impulsive state. And also, that voicemail from Nathan Prescott was quite intense. Friend Isaac loves that scene. And with enough delaying, we get into the real meat of the episode. The last 20 or so minutes. So Max goes into these weird hallucination dream things for a while due to the massive strain she's been put under using her power like absolute mad crazy. And let's be honest, this part is quite creepy. At least it was for me. The final part of the dream sequence is what's really important, related to character development, as you get to walk down a long, windy path and see every single moment you've had with Chloe in the past week, and it gets you reflecting on the journey thus far and reminding you how much you love her and showing you how this whole thing developed from start to finish, which just makes what happens later hurt more, and this was there just for that specific reason. As you get to the end, you start hearing Chloe's real voice talking to you as she's walking you up the mountain, and then you see your body, which you walk up to and finally wake up from the dream. Immediately, you see the giant tornado minutes away from devouring the town, to which Max blames herself because it is her fault. Her messing with time created the butterfly effect where the tornado came, and this is where it all starts. Chloe knows this, and she says the only solution to stop the tornado is to go back in time to the first ever time Max used her power and not use it, and let natural course take its way to stop the tornado from being created. Only problem is, remember back to the first moment you used your power, it was to save Chloe's life back in that bathroom. So, everything we've been through in these 5 episodes has just been context and set up to ask the trolley problem in the end. Do you choose to go back and prevent Arcadia Bay's destruction while you sacrifice your best friend Chloe? Or do you let Joyce, Warren, David, Frank, Pompidou, Kate, potentially, Samuel, Brooke, other side characters, everyone who lives in this town that you care about just violently die to save one person? But it's the person you love. And this decision was easily the most difficult in the game. It took me 5 straight minutes to make my choice, but in the end, I finally got there. I pressed X and sacrificed Chloe. She told us herself it would be cruel to let everyone die, and when I started thinking about Warren, Joyce, and David, I realised it was for the best. Max and Chloe have a final heart-tugging goodbye that may or may not involve a kiss depending on your choices, and then Max goes back in time. Max awakens in the bathroom from earlier with the awareness of what's going on and what's about to happen, so she just quietly sits at the side of the stall and waits. Then you hear Nathan and Chloe come in just like before, and the scene plays out exactly like first time, word for word, except now the camera specifically only focuses on just Max, as you hear what's going on exactly like her. And then
That gun away from me, psycho!
the way Max flinches at that, the way that you can see the tears hit the floor immediately after, and then the way Spanish Sahara by Foals starts the exact moment that just creates a perfect storm and starts the emotions. Something important to point out in this scene to do with presentations, the camera work. It focuses on Max while the confrontation happens and then focuses on the tears. Then it pans out to show Chloe's dead body and Nathan panicking and slowly pacing around the room. Then the camera slowly pans over to Max, where you see her just sat there weeping. And then the screen fades to white as we go into the picture changing thing that, shows how the timeline changes. And it was this scene that made me start crying. You see all of these fun, amazing moments you had with Chloe during the week fade away and turn into things like Max with Joyce and David planning a funeral, or them all packing her room of her belongings. Every time a new memory would pop up, I'd remember the moment and it'd feel a little punch in my heart. And adding on to that, about halfway through the scene, I started crying because of how emotional it made me feel. Just thinking that all this fun you had was gone and no longer happened. Chloe didn't experience it, and the thought that Chloe died with her dad dead, thinking her two best friends abandoned her, and completely unaware of how much fun she and Max had together, or even the fact that Max was in the room with her. Chloe died in a sad state, and that's what got to me. This transition sequence then ends as Spanish Sahara, my favourite song from the soundtrack, starts getting more and more intense part of the song. The setting is nice and sunny to contrast the violent storm in the other timeline, and Max is dressed in all black ready for Chloe's funeral. Now, this whole funeral section just really kept the emotion going. Little details like seeing Frank showing that he really cared for her in the end, and the blue butterfly coming back and landing on the coffin at the end, with such a powerful song playing in the background, make this look fantastic and emotionally driven ending to such a great adventure that left me speechless for 2 hours after. This scene also just looks beautiful. Again, the presentation and the music. Spanish Sahara has become my favourite song from the soundtrack. I cannot tell you how perfectly it fits with this moment. And every time I listen to it, it reminds me of this moment, and it's so powerful. It shouldn't fit the song, but it does, and it's fantastic. Now, this ending links back to the 3 factors which make this scene work emotionally. Character development in the 5 episodes where you watch Chloe and Max's journey and relationship grow. The presentation in the form of the music, Spanish Sahara, the lighting with all of the cool angles, and the camera angles, the way the camera even moves as well. And then finally the choice element, which makes you feel responsible and guilty for what happens. And I'm of strong belief that if any of these 3 factors were removed from the final scene, it wouldn't have made me cry. Look at any moment in this game that made you emotional, and you'll probably find most of, if not all of these factors. And I know I've just kind of went through the story of this game and pointed out the characters subtly developed throughout, but it's arguably one of the most important things in this game and the biggest of the 3 factors. So I thought I should go over the mindset that you're in when you play this game so you understand where I'm coming from, basically. Don't Nod did a fantastic job with the emotion in this game, and I really hope that they can incorporate this into the current Life is Strange 2 sequel, because this ending is what made this game go from great to my new number one favourite, which until this point had been undefeated for 9 years. This is such a fantastic game. Thank you so much, Don't Nod, for this experience. You're truly brilliant at this. Thank you.